Slice of Crimes is a fictionalized true crime podcast that delves into complex and sometimes difficult stories. Topics may include discussions and descriptions of violence, abuse, self-harm, sexual assault, suicide, and other sensitive subjects, as well as occasional strong language. Please listen with care and discretion. This podcast may not be suitable for all audiences, especially young listeners.
Slice of Crimes. Infinite thanks.
No escape. The epilogue. Nothing is ever exactly as it seems. Welcome back to Slice of Crimes. I'm KC, your resident Slice sleuth, and today I'm pulling back the curtain on a story that's as dark as it is twisted. In this last episode, there's much to be uncovered: the full extent of Myers-Smith's depravity, the chilling implications of his suspected crimes, and the heartbreaking consequences for all involved. Let's dive in. Jenkins didn't take McAllister up on her offer to crash on the sofa in her office. He needed to get home, yet was in no condition to drive. Instead, he sets out on a long walk home, about 4 miles. He needs the time to contemplate. Sort of stumbling out the door, he is hunched as if he is carrying a 1,000-pound burden on his shoulders. And actually, he truly is. He must be in shock. I mean, how many devastating, life-shattering blows can he take? To anyone watching him slump out of the police station, he probably appears aimless and incapable of even making his way home safely. Yet despite his weary demeanor, his mind is working on overdrive. Jenkins is a thinker. He is logical and practical, exacting and relentless. Even at his lowest, his most downtrodden, Jenkins is precise, calculated, and decisive. And something that Jenner recognized about his twin, he could always rely on him. Jenkins never takes the easy way out, and he never, ever gives up. He won't let Jenner down. This he vows. By the time Jenkins reached home, his plan was fully formed. He would head straight to the closet, quietly, without alerting his dad, and finally take a look at what Jenner had discovered. The very same evening of Maya and Myers' arrest, Jenkins gathered all his strength of mind and bravely decided to head back to the police station, this time getting a ride from Blake. He had told him he needed to pick up his car since he had walked home earlier. That was true. But when Blake asked what was in the metal box, he told him it was just some of Jenner's identification papers the cops had asked him to drop off. That was a lie. Blake dropped him at the curb. He had promised he would never set foot in that place again. And truth be told, he never has. Jenkins hopped out, thanking Blake for the ride and desperately trying to control the tremor in his hands, hoping Blake wouldn't notice. And even more so knowing if he dropped the box, Blake would probably never recover. He wasn't sure he was going to be okay anyway, but he would deal with that after he did this. This was the most frightening thing he had ever done, and probably the bravest. But he was doing it for Jenner, and he would never let his twin down in life or in death. His trembling became more uncontrollable with each step he took towards the detective's office, so he concentrated on maintaining his grip, and was so relieved when he arrived in front of McAllister and Ramirez, realizing he'd managed to not drop the box.
This is what Jenner found. He told me Myers had a lockbox, and it was bad, but he didn't say what was in it. He wanted to show me when Myers was out of the house. We were supposed to bring it to Dad. We wanted him to know, not get fooled by Myers or something. He easily ran Dad around in circles. Dad just wanted all of us happy, including him. Anyway, to me it wasn't urgent, because I had no idea what it was. So our plan was, Myers goes out, we show Dad, we all then go to you, the police. Here, Please take it. And don't open it until I'm out of the room. Everything's in there. But I can't look at it again. I can't.
I'll set it on the back shelf. We won't open it until you leave, but I want to ask you a few quick questions. Jenkins, your brother confided in you. Do you think he told anyone else?
No. He didn't even tell me what was in it. Just that it was bad. I thought drugs, because Myers had been in trouble before he came here. Honestly, I'm a complete mess. Myers could have killed me. Somehow I survived. But it's just pure luck. And that's hard to accept. I mean, do we really have such little control over our destiny that we have to rely on luck?
Hey, you know what? Luck ain't so bad when it's on your side. And sometimes there are things you can do to have a better chance at luck. You doing this? It's good. You are doing something that is going to bring answers to a lot of people who have been praying for them. And you're helping us nail Myers. I'm assuming what's in there is a smoking gun. So Myers will never see daylight again unless he's looking through some metal bars. So look at it this way. You deserve to be lucky, and you're paying it forward. Enough of my pseudo-philosophy. McAllister's going to say I'm going soft. She'd be wrong, though. Now, let me ask you this. Did Jenner know that Myers was aware he had seen what was in the box?
That's the thing. He was sure he had no idea. But then, right before we went in, Jenner was super quiet and looking at me so intensely. Even the others noticed, I think. He was never that quiet. We were going to talk after. I think he had some uneasy feeling. I think that's why he wanted to go last, so nobody was behind him. Like, specifically Myers.
Why wait to turn him in? Especially if he was worried for his safety.
He really believed Myers didn't know. So did I. He was afraid. Afraid that if something went wrong, someone could get hurt. Or worse. After losing Mom, we protected Dad and each other more than ever. We may have seemed fanatical about keeping in contact, but that's how we were. Jenner wanted to make sure everything went smoothly, that Myers didn't find out or escape, disappear, take a hostage. I'm sure all the possibilities ran through his mind. He was always trying to protect everyone. Look, we were going to do it, just without danger. That's what we thought anyway.
Got it. Well, here we have it. And I know even though he's locked up, this is not easy to do.
Yeah, I haven't told Dad yet. I just can't. It's his sister. I don't know how much he can take. I really don't. Even driving over here, I was worried Blake would somehow see what's in there. He couldn't handle that. I know him. He's in a bad place. The whole thing, it's too much for him. He was already living in fear daily. Now he has about 1 million more things to worry him and scare him. I know you were doing it for me and Dad, getting really tough with us. And you're right, we were all lying. So you actually had no choice. But Blake only knows that a secret he's kept for years is coming out. Only Jenner and I knew what it was, and he didn't even know Jenner knew. Well, you figured that out from the text, I guess. But it has nothing to do with Jenner's murder, so he feels violated. Honestly, I'm almost as worried about him as I am Dad.
Thank you, Jenkins. We'll be in touch, and we'll be breaking the news to your dad as soon as you think he's ready in the next day or so. Anything else you can think of before we confront Myers?
Yeah. The jacket I lent Maya. My black chess club jacket. She gave it back to me as soon as she came out of the escape room. It felt a little wet. Maybe just damp. Not all over, just like something splashed on it. I thought it was water, because she'd been drinking from her bottle. I saw her cleaning her Crocs with that bottle too, but she was way in the corner, so I couldn't really tell. I brushed it off, but after seeing Jenner, I had a feeling it wasn't water. I got rid of the jacket in the mall trash bin before you got there.
If it was blood, it was evidence. Why would you protect Maya from murdering your brother?
I meant what I said in my interview. I believed 100% that Maya loved Jenner. I thought maybe she saw something, touched him, got scared. I made 1 million excuses for why she could have blood on her. None of them included that she killed him. I was afraid to say anything, because if she saw who did it, she was in danger. That's what I figured anyway. I'm still having trouble believing it now, or I guess trouble accepting it.
Jenkins turns slowly and walks out of the room. As soon as the door shuts, Ramirez pulls the metal lockbox off the shelf and sets it on his desk. McAllister pulls her chair up closer. Realizing Jenkins didn't give them a key. Of course he didn't, it's not his box. She opens her top desk drawer, her junk drawer, which always seems to have just what she's looking for, and retrieves a hairpin, which does the trick. To call this a lockbox is using the term loosely. Might as well be a box with no lock. And what does that say about Myers? That he took so little precaution to secure the contents, which as we all know he was willing to kill over. He didn't even hide the box. Overconfident, infallible, bulletproof, one step ahead of everyone else? All of the above. He's a sociopath. She pops it open, revealing its chilling contents, a locket with the initials MS on the front, and a tiny photo of a toddler boy. Whoa, that's Myers. A couple thousand at least in cash, pounds that is, and the ID card of Kath Smith, Myers' mother. But the most damning evidence is the Polaroid, an image of Kath's mutilated face, the Glasgow smile carved into her skin, and the Sheffield knife lying beside her bloody head. McAllister briefly wonders if that's the same knife Maya plunged into Jenner's heart. That would mean he also used that for the facial mutilation. They had sealed Jenner's nostrils and mouth with duct tape so he couldn't scream and would eventually suffocate. But was he actually alive, while Myers carved into his face? The autopsy will reveal this. She hopes she is wrong. One thing's for sure. This lockbox ties Myers directly to both murders. Detective Sarah McAllister and Detective Mike Ramirez make several phone calls to the Manchester Police Division. They confirm that Kath Smith was found with a Glasgow smile mutilation. They share the preliminary information about Jenner's murder and the Glasgow smile. They also break the news that a UK citizen, Kath Smith's own son Myers, has been arrested for first-degree murder. The inspector who was working Kath Smith's case had opened up some cold cases he believed might be related. He had been working on this angle for weeks. Before hanging up, the police on both sides of the pond, as the Brits say, the UK and the USA, agreed to cooperate 100%. They also agreed they just might have found the serial killer responsible for those cold cases after all, Myers. Ramirez and McAllister finally enter the interrogation room, where they had left Myers sitting for almost 2 hours. They also welcome Myers' public defender, who will be in the room, and has agreed to allow them to question Myers in his presence. Myers has agreed to sit down with McAllister and Rodriguez, just as they had predicted he would. His sense of arrogance wouldn't allow him to remain outside the limelight, but there were no guarantees he would even speak. The tension is palpable as they prepare to confront him with evidence that not only ties him to Jenner Smith's murder, but also suggests he may be responsible for a string of unsolved cold cases in his hometown in the UK, including the murder of his own mother. They place the lockbox conspicuously on the table, right in front of Myers. The box is filled with damning evidence, but they don't open it. The plan is to ignore the lockbox altogether. McAllister's tactic of creating an uncomfortable space around Myers has served her best so far in extracting information. She wants to watch Myers squirm.
Okay, Myers, we're here with your lawyer. As promised, I don't know if you have an agenda, but I'll just start this conversation. First off, let's talk about the Glasgow smile. It isn't something I was very familiar with here in the U.S. My only point of reference was a very old cold case out of Los Angeles. Way back in the 1940s, the Black Dahlia. I can only guess the significance it holds for you. I suppose it's your signature. The Glasgow smile isn't just some random mark. It's a signature. A gruesome reminder of the killer's control, a way to humiliate the victim even in death. And the fact that you're from the UK, it's not just a coincidence. You left that mark on Jenner.
Just like you did your mother.
When your mother's body was found, stuffed in a locked freezer, no one connected the dots to you. A string of murders spanning years, with victims left mutilated the same way. They believed her murder was part of that, and that makes sense. We think so too. But now we think Jenner's murder ties to your mother's murder and your mother's to the others. The dots are now connecting.
I can't say I have any idea what you're going on about. My mother's missing, not dead.
Seems if the detectives are going to ignore the lockbox, so is Myers. He loves a game, but it's a game that can't last.
This lockbox showed up today with the Polaroid of your mother's disfigured face. You kept her jewelry, her ID. Typical serial killer, tripping themselves up by keeping mementos. We knew it was you who killed Jenner. Now we know it's you who killed your mom. This box, it's a 2-for-1. The prosecutor's gonna love this. It's the motive for one murder and proof of another.
This seems to bore Myers, who casually leans back in his chair, stretches his legs out, and yawns. Or is this part of his facade? His mask of indifference?
I have to say, when you didn't mention that they had discovered her remains, I was conflicted. Was it an intentional lie or an omission that you needed to leave unsaid to protect yourself from breaking down? I initially decided it was a psychological defense mechanism. I had no reason at all to tie your mom's fate to Jenner's. You see, we had no details of her death, her murder. We just knew they had found her and were investigating. Your Uncle Clyde shared that with us. He had no knowledge of any details either. The case was open and they weren't sharing with him. But with that in mind, we were able to use her death by unknown cause to allude to you having committed murder prior to killing Jenner. The plan was to get you to react, and I'm telling you this because I no longer need you to react. I have more than enough evidence to charge you with both murders, even if you choose to keep your mouth shut. We really had no idea until a couple hours ago, until this box showed up in our office and we opened it. Revealing the horrifying and extremely incriminating contents, I immediately realized why you refused to admit she was dead. You knew her Glasgow smile mutilation would connect her death, and Jenner's in a way that could never be considered coincidence. And you were right. That's how we knew it was you as soon as we saw the Polaroid. Myers, you killed your mother because you hated her rules. Rules equal control, and you could never have someone control you. You hated being poor, and you knew your uncle was wealthy because he spoke to your mom often. Not at all like you described, not estranged, not disliking one another. They were close. So you got rid of her, discarded her, killed her, so you could come here to prey on your uncle. Your uncle so vulnerable he'd lost his beloved wife, and his dear sister was missing. Figured he'd be pretty pliable, huh? Was it going as planned? It seemed so. Until you noticed someone had touched your box, someone knew your deepest, dirtiest secret. You're good at reading people. A sociopath is always observing for prey. And I bet it didn't take long for you to figure out it was Jenner who knew. So when Jenner found out what you'd done, when he discovered that lockbox with her belongings and the grotesque Polaroid you took, you knew you had to silence him. But subtlety isn't your thing, so you plan a grandiose exit for Jenner, one complete with his love plunging a knife in his heart. Then you left your mark, the Glasgow smile. You had to mutilate him, huh? It shows a lack of discipline on your part. It resulted in self-sabotage. And ultimately, it proves you're not superior. You're average at best when it comes to murder, Myers. And in my professional opinion, one of the less sophisticated I've encountered in my career.
These last few words are whispered directly in Myers' ear, making the verbal assault feel intimate. Whispered truths. McAllister has sucker punched the sociopath in his most vulnerable spot, his ego. A laundry list of flaws. Myers is triggered.
You can dismiss him.
What? Dismiss who? Your lawyer? You requested a lawyer, Myers.
Yes, I did. And now I'm requesting he go away. Go have a smoke or a coffee or a pull from your flask, whatever your vice is. Go and do something that is not in this room. Go!
Unreal, right? Myers is so overinflated, his display of entitlement and self-importance almost seemed like an act. But it's not. This must be what his Uncle Clyde was referring to when he described Myers' sense of reality as skewed. McAllister's monologue, wow, she laid it all out because she knows anything she got wrong, any detail or motive she mischaracterized, Myers would be compelled to correct. He doesn't like to be controlled. He doesn't like his own narrative being controlled, especially by her. She was under his skin. He really can't control his reaction. He needs to assert himself to prove himself more intelligent than everyone else. Myers' calm demeanor cracks just slightly as the weight of McAllister's long-winded and, from his point of view, wildly inaccurate account of his purpose and actions bears down on him. He actually finds it absurd. She could never understand the workings of his mind. Instead of maintaining his silence, he leans back in his chair, a chilling smile creeping across his face, and begins speaking.
You think you've got it all figured out, don't you? But you're just as blind as the rest of them. The smile, it's not just a mark, detective. It's art. It's a reminder that no matter how much you think you control your life, in the end, you're powerless. You don't decide your own fate.
Who's blind, Myers? Can he not see the irony in his statement? As much as he tried to control his own fate by killing his mother and Jenner, he will not achieve his desired outcome. The justice system will ultimately seal his fate.
Jenner found my box. His problem, not mine. I put him out of his misery and freed Maya from his controlling grip. Together we removed him. Problem solved for both of us.
McAllister interrupts.
No, Myers, you don't care about others. You only prey on them. When you noticed Jenner had a certain amount of control over Maya, you didn't feel bad or concerned for her. No, you felt excited for yourself. This meant you could control Maya and ultimately add a very personal element to Jenner's murder. You knew this would affect your uncle and probably Jenkins more deeply, having him stabbed in the heart. And you had to know Maya would never be able to hold up to the scrutiny you all faced. She doesn't suffer psychopathy. She feels emotions like love and empathy. Oh, and yes, guilt. No, Myers, you didn't help Maya. You didn't rescue her. You destroyed her.
I know Maya feels emotions, but you're wrong about which emotions. She felt elation, power, pleasure.
I'll say this, and this is a guarantee. The only emotions Maya will be left with are guilt and remorse. As humans, we can't control that. Just like you are unable to feel guilt and remorse, she is unable to not feel it.
Regret, guilt, remorse, I don't know what those are. You are right, because if I did, it would mean I did something wrong. Made a mistake. I don't make mistakes, detective. I hold the ultimate control in this game of life. Nothing tops murder. Nothing. Now get my solicitor back in here. I have nothing else to say. I've spoken against my solicitor's advice, but now I'm going to listen to him. I've nothing further to say, detectives. Good day. I don't want to miss lunch.
The detectives are momentarily stunned by Myers' cold confession, but McAllister doesn't waver. She's determined to have the final word.
We'll see about that, Myers, because it's game over for you. The Greater Manchester Police, under the watchful eye of Detective Sterling, has reopened several cold cases. 3 girls between the ages of 11 and 13, all found with the same Glasgow smile. They lived within 3 miles of your childhood home, an easy bike ride for a boy of 12 or 13.
If these are Myers' kills, he will be recognized as the youngest serial killer the UK has ever seen. A chilling record to hold. And it makes you wonder, just how prolific was he? Are there more victims yet undiscovered? Myers' smile fades, but his eyes remain steely, black, and dead. No matter the mask he wears, his eyes never vary. There's no way to disguise the absence of a soul. The detectives know they have him, but there's still one final step: his extradition to the UK. As Myers is led away, his chilling words linger, a haunting reminder of the monster they've unmasked. Myers, refusing to admit anything further, is extradited to the UK, where he is tried and sentenced to life imprisonment with the possibility for parole only far beyond his natural life expectancy. He will die in prison. For the murders of the 3 girls with the Glasgow smiles, the evidence linking him was extraordinary. Myers pled guilty, embracing the fact that indeed he was UK's youngest serial killer, and he began to grant interviews almost immediately to anyone who would broadcast his story. Just as he was a prolific serial killer, he became a prolific self-promoter, always alluding to his body count being double digits, although he provided no proof. Prison became his forever home, and Myers was intentional in making the most of it. How would a sociopath most enjoy life? By controlling the narrative, of course. And that's what Myers lived every day doing. He believed himself a superior serial killer. And the more he could shock, disgust, and terrify the world, the better. He was determined to become a household name and had coined a term for himself, the Grin Reaper. Even his serial killer name was the best there's ever been. He would be sought after and serve as an inspiration for young up-and-coming serial killers. He wished he could start a club. But then again, a club full of sociopaths and antisocials, how would that work? Plus, he was in prison, so yeah. He settled for pen pals, and that ultimately became the supply he required for his overblown ego to continue to grow and thrive. He was considered arrogant among the other inmates. Ridiculous, he would say. I'm not arrogant. You've got that all wrong. I'm superior. He had no care, no remorse, no regret. Any news of how his devastations continued to reverberate through his surviving victims, he considered a victory. And there were many victories. For Jenkins, the loss of his twin created an identity crisis. Already masking his gayness, he had struggled with identity. Then, with Jenner's death, he lost his identity as a brother and a twin, his other half. In order to pull himself back together, he would need to do the work. If Jenkins had learned a vital life lesson with the passing of his mother and his brother, it was this: be yourself and always live the life you want. Life is fleeting. When Jenkins came out, first to his father about a month after Jenner's death, and then gradually to one friend, another, a teacher, a neighbor, until, with a sigh of relief, he dropped his charade completely. It was the hardest on Blake. Now Jenkins was openly gay, as he had long yearned to be, but Blake just couldn't. He wasn't emotionally prepared. Not yet. Jenner's death didn't push him outward, it forced him to retreat deeper under cover. Jenkins understood Blake's reaction was fear-based. He wished he could assist in his journey, but knew that what it would take for Blake to get there was not something he could provide for him. It needed to come from within Blake himself. Jenkins' identity was securely attached to how he envisioned himself. Coming out was the only way he could ever feel like himself. Blake's identity, in contrast, was securely attached to how others perceived him, and coming out was not something he could envision himself being comfortable with. The bottom line, Blake could no longer remain in a relationship with Jenkins. It was a terribly sad situation, and it left Blake adrift at a time he was already vulnerable and untrusting due to the murder. When Blake finally did head to Syracuse, it was a chance for a fresh start, a reset of sorts. But he lasted less than a month before tragically attempting to take his own life. Another example of the destruction Myers had sown spreading relentlessly like an aggressive cancer. Jenkins stepped right up. He would never let him implode like that. He committed himself to ensuring Blake would weather the storm, no matter how treacherous, no matter how long. Even if that storm lasted a lifetime, Jenkins would act as his beacon of light, guiding him down a path of healing and self-acceptance, and as his pillar of strength, bolstering him in his weakest moments and building up his confidence and resilience. It was his hope that Blake would emerge from the dark tunnel he was lost in, more settled, more content, more self-aware, and at peace. Similarly, Jenkins was there for his dad, who had suffered an unimaginable amount of sorrow, leaving him with a heart that physically ached with each beat. His father had sacrificed for him, and now he encouraged his father to cling to him, to draw strength from him. They were the last two Smiths standing, and Jenkins refused to let either of them get knocked down without getting back up. Jenkins had always been fiercely loyal and incredibly persistent, and with every hardship, he developed increased grit and fortitude. He may have been the quieter twin, but he was never the weaker twin, and his strength would carry his remaining family onward through thick and thin in honor of his brother and his mother, who had both been taken from him far too soon. Maya, who pleaded guilty, was sentenced to life without parole. Like Myers, prison would be her forever home. Like Myers, she would eventually die in prison. But otherwise, her experience following Jenner's murder couldn't have been more different than his. For Maya, prison bars weren't adequate punishment for what she had done. Once a champion diver with dreams of Olympic gold, she had been Jenner's girlfriend and loved him deeply. Jenkins was right about that. But that love, twisted to scorn by Myers' manipulation, turned into something unrecognizable the moment she plunged the knife into Jenner's heart. Unable to reconcile who she used to be with what she had done, Maya's mind began to unravel. Her descent into madness was slow at first. Small moments of doubt, flashes of confusion. But soon she was slipping and tumbling uncontrollably until her mind could no longer live inside her body. Every reflection of herself sent her spiraling into psychosis. She could not recognize herself, not her body, not her mind, not her soul, and the monster she saw. She could not forgive. Maya had no friends left. The people she had once called friends were the same ones tied to the murder. Her isolation in prison wasn't just physical. It was emotional, mental, complete. Though she was never outwardly violent towards others, she became her own worst enemy. She would scratch at her skin, clawing at the surface as if trying to dig something out of herself. She never felt the pain. Her mind had numbed her to it, as if it were the only mercy it could offer. But Maya didn't want mercy. She needed punishment, something harsher than the prison walls, something brutal enough to make her feel the depth of her guilt. She wanted to suffer in a way that matched the pain she had caused. But no matter how much she hurt herself, no matter how much she longed for a punishment severe enough to atone for her sins, it never came. Peace was impossible for Maya. Her mind and body remained trapped in a cycle of guilt and self-destruction, unable to find any kind of solace. For Maya, prison wasn't just a place, it was a state of mind, and there was no escape. This has been the final episode of No Escape, where the dark and twisted tale of Jenner Smith's murder has unraveled, proving once again on Slice of Crimes, nothing is ever exactly as it seems. I'm Casey, your resident Slice sleuth. Infinite thanks for sleuthing with me every step of the way. Can't wait to crack another case with you sleuths super soon. And as always, stay curious, stay sharp, and stay safe. How do you feel after an episode of Slice of Crimes? One step closer to the truth? If you haven't cracked the case yet, no worries, you're not alone. But before you go, remember, the mystery doesn't end here. Enjoyed this episode? Show some love. Share Slice of Crimes with your friends, family, or even that neighbor who's a little too interested in true crime. Oh wait, that's probably you. Your 5-star ratings and killer reviews help keep these investigations coming. And I couldn't do it without you. Got your own theories? Burning questions? Or maybe a case you think I should tackle next? I'm all ears. Send your ideas and suggestions my way. The more you engage, the sharper my sleuthing gets. So until next time, fellow sleuths, keep your wits about you. Stay curious. Stay sharp. You never know what the next slice of crime will serve up. And trust me, you won't want to miss it. Infinite thanks for listening today and for tuning in next week.